and welcome here to Talk FCB, and welcome back to the channel, guys. And indeed, the speculation is growing surrounding the future of Ronald Koeman, so much so that today in Barcelona, Koeman met face-to-face with Joan Laporta, the president, of course, of Barcelona, who wants answers. Laporta there has met with Koeman directly because he wants an understanding of what's gone wrong. And just as we discussed yesterday, that's what Koeman needs to provide. He needs to provide those answers. He needs solutions, but does he have them? And indeed, that meeting shows that by no means is Koeman safe in his position looking ahead to next season, but although I said yesterday I don't believe that he's the man to really take us to that next level, at the same time, we should only change our coach this summer if there's a very suitable replacement. What you don't want to do is change for the sake of it. We have to find the right man. Laporta needs to have somebody there already in mind and looking to the long-term future. And precisely that is what we're discussing today, because I do completely agree with what many of you are saying. We cannot change our coach every season. That is not a recipe for success. But of course, guys, this will be Joan Laporta's first full summer there in charge of Barcelona since returning as president. So of course, he may want to bring in his own coach. And firstly, I just want to discuss somebody who I feel would have been right in the mix. That would have been Julian Nagelsmann. I think he would have been so high there on Laporta's list. We heard his name mentioned a few times there during the election campaigns. But of course, he has already been confirmed to go to Bayern Munich. That's a deal there that could actually break the record there, with Bayern paying his release clause from Leipzig around 25 million euros. But of course, such a highly rated coach, still only 33 years old. But he's one we have missed out on. And speaking indeed about Bayern Munich, I do want to discuss here Hansi Flick, because he is somebody in the media, particularly recently in Barcelona, who has been rumoured there if there was to become a vacancy, he could be approached there about the Barcelona job, given the fact that it has been confirmed that he will be leaving Bayern at the end of the season. Of course, Bayern's treble-winning coach, the man who beat Barcelona by 8-2, and technically, he would be available in the summer. However, according to ESPN in Spain, Barca did indeed hold a few initial talks there with Hansi Flick's entourage to just discuss whether he would be available come the summer, but Barca was swiftly informed there by Flick's entourage that everything is all arranged and indeed confirmed for Flick to take over as the coach of the German national team, which means it's another coach there that we're too late to get. There have been a few other rumours as well in the media over the past few weeks or so. Somebody there like Thierry Henry, a former Barcelona player, and now he has stepped into management, although it has to be said, so far Henry is yet to really put his stamp on management, and he's still very much finding his feet at the very top level. Somebody else as well would be Gabriel Milito, another former Barcelona player there. The Argentinian has also taken the step into management, and also Jordi Cruyff, who has been linked, of course, with Barca in a management position in the boardroom as the general manager, but could he even be on the cards there as a head coach? I'm not really sure about any of those three, so let's move on to what I feel are the main targets. Starting, of course, with the obvious. It is Xavi Hernandez, and whenever there is a vacant position at Barcelona, you can guarantee Xavi is going to be right there at the top in terms of who could come in. Xavi is definitely a possibility. He spent 2 years so far coaching in Qatar with Al Sadd, and although Xavi's contract was set to expire this coming summer, he would have there been a free agent to discuss exactly where his future may be. However, just yesterday, on Wednesday, it was officially announced that Al Sadd have extended his contract there at the club as the head coach until 2023 there, potentially keeping Xavi in Qatar for 2 more years. However, what I want to say is that doesn't mean he can't come. That doesn't mean there that it's completely off the table, because as we know, Xavi came extremely close to joining Barca back in January 2020. And just like back then, Xavi still will have in that new deal the Barca release clause, which basically means that should Barca come knocking at any point, he can be released from his contract to go and coach the club that he still dreams of coaching. Of course, this time around it will be very different, given the fact there will be no Bartomeu. Xavi last time did not want to work under Bartomeu. He didn't want to make that step into management under that kind of regime. This time, under a man that he knows very well in Joan Laporta, he may give a very different answer. However, Not everybody is in favour of Xavi taking over right now. That is the key there in terms of experience. Quite a few people there would like to see Xavi gain European experience in terms of that management role. Of course, he has plenty as a player, but as a coach, I think we all want to see him not necessarily at another club or anything like that, but we would have liked to have seen him maybe come up through the youth system in terms of coaching Barca, that kind of romantic route really to the first team. But of course, life doesn't always work out in that way. But speaking of Barca B, let's move on to target number 2, Garcia Pimienta, the current Barcelona B coach who for several years now, I think he's been on the fringes. I think he's been really, really close there to making that big step up to the first team. He was linked to the job after Valverde's sacking. He was mentioned again after Quique Setien's departure, but he's never quite been given that big break. And quite honestly, I think this summer, it is the best chance for him. This is a massive, massive summer for Garcia Pimienta. He's 46 years old now, and I just want to say, he's got a wealth of experience at this club. He has been in the youth setup at Barca, coaching there for 15 years, since 2006, and he's even admitted very recently that he's ready. He feels as though he's ready, he's gone through the process, he's been learning all the time, and he can take on the job of the first team. That is how Garcia Pimienta feels. And for me as well with Pimienta, it's not just the fact that, of course, after all those years, he's going to understand the club. He is going to know exactly what it takes there to coach at a club like this. But he also knows so many of the younger players. He's already worked side by side. You think about it there with the likes of Ricky Puig, the next generation, Araujo. You think about it, Alejandro Balde, Ilaix Moriba. So many more of those players there will have all worked under Pimienta and had great success under him too. And just look at how well many of those players have already adapted to the first team. And that is courtesy of the brilliant job that Pimienta has done in developing those talents. And I do personally believe that Pimienta is a really, really good option, and he's really placed himself well for this position. And I would also say, people who want Xavi to get more experience, people who want their Xavi to come through the club and sort of have a managerial position before he reaches the first team, let me put it to you like this. If Pimienta was to take that first team job, if he was given that chance, there would be a vacancy at Barcelona B. Could that be Xavi's time to start his journey? However, it is not just those inside the club who Barca have on their radar right now, because I want to move on to target number 3, who's Erik Ten Hag. And I want to talk about him because he's been on Barca's radar now for several years, ever since really he exploded to prominence during Ajax's incredible Champions League run back in 2019. You remember, they were just seconds away, that Ajax team, from reaching the final that year. And of course, Ten Hag there was key in developing the likes of our very own Frenkie de Jong, Matthias de Ligt, Donny van de Beek, and even more recently there, talents like Ryan Gravenberch. And certainly he's a fantastic coach in terms of his playing style, the mentality that he has, and the success that he has had year upon year upon year at a club in Ajax, who of course mirror what we want at Barcelona very, very closely. Now, indeed, this summer, apparently, according to the local media, Erik Ten Hag is one of the names there on Joan Laporta's list should Koeman depart this summer. However, as many of you will already be aware, it wouldn't be that straightforward, given that just 2 weeks ago, Ten Hag renewed his contract at Ajax, fresh there from winning another league title there in the Eredivisie. There was interest from Tottenham after they sacked Jose Mourinho. They actually wanted to bring in Ten Hag as their new coach, and I think Ajax basically just responded to that. They made sure there, probably to improve the terms of that deal, to get him extended for one more year until 2023. But Ten Hag even admitted that he was slightly tempted there by Tottenham's offer, and that just leads me to believe, if he was to be approached this summer by Barcelona, you've also got to bear in mind the very good working relationship between Barca and Ajax. I do believe there could be a very different outcome. And it should also be noted too, this is just something here to just add to the Ten Hag story. Laporta wouldn't necessarily need to change the entire coaching staff, because during that incredible Champions League campaign in 18-19, like I've just mentioned, who was Ten Hag's assistant? Yep, current Barca assistant, Alfred Schreuder. But of course, guys, I have left the best until last, and ultimately this would be a dream. I think it's not something that in my mind is realistic, but come on, let's just talk about Pep Guardiola, because there have been a few suggestions, not only from fans, but also there from the media, that given the fact that Pep now has won the Premier League again, 3 out of the 4 times now he's won the Premier League as coach of Man City, and of course, he's in the Champions League final, Man City's first ever Champions League final, and if he was to win that, That would be the ultimate. That has been his goal ever since he arrived in Manchester. Win the Champions League. He would make history, and that would cement his legacy there as a coach to make that happen. And many people would say, you know what? Is that job done? Is that what Pep went to Manchester for? Would he have basically there completed his objectives? And if he has, would he be open to a move? Would he there look to move on to a different challenge? As we know, Barca is a club that's always going to be in his heart. He's always going to have such a close connection. His time as a player, his time as a coach, absolutely unbelievable, the amount of respect we have for him. And of course, let's not forget either, the man in charge right now, Joan Laporta, gave him his first big break in management. He was the man who put faith in him when nobody else wanted to. He took a real leap there. Pep, of course, rewarded him in so many ways. But if anybody could convince him to come back, you would think that it would only be Joan Laporta. However, before we all start to get far too excited, what I do want to say is I honestly don't believe that'll happen. I don't think that number one, Pep will leave Man City. I think he's got a very good setup there. He's got a fantastic group of players that he's built there. He gets on very well with the hierarchy and the management, something that didn't happen all the time, particularly during the end of his time at Barcelona. And I just don't believe he'll go back on his word. On several occasions now in the past, he's openly said, you know what, my time is done. My cycle at Barcelona, it's come to an end, and I won't coach there again. And I honestly do believe that Pep feels that way. I think he feels as though he could never really replicate, he could never better what he achieved before. He's often said that he's not the same man that he was back then. And as much as I would love it to happen, and of course we as a club, we would benefit so much from having Pep Guardiola back at Barcelona. But right now, at least, for me, it's so unlikely. So those right there, guys, are some of the candidates should Ronald Koeman be sacked by Joan Laporta this summer. And of course, guys, that's not confirmed. I'm not saying by any means that Koeman is definitely going to be on his way out. And I just want to reiterate there, we should not change unless we have a solid plan. We should not change there for the sake of it. Laporta has to have a very clear idea of what he wants from his coach. Is Koeman that man? And if he isn't, who can come in? What do you think, guys? And who would you like to see in the Barca dugout next season? I will see you soon, of course. Let me know those thoughts down below, and there'll be more videos on the way for you. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.